Hey everybody, this is Jim Neeb from Jim Neeb Woodworks again. Today I'm going to do a quick tool review. About a month ago, I guess, I did a follow-up review on a Llambric drill chuck. It was one of their higher end, it's a toolless drill chuck. It's lasted great for a couple of years, so I really liked it. So I did a follow-up review on that. And the company that imports Llambric tools from Spain reached out to me and said, hey, we make other things too. So they sent me a catalog and kind of showing all of the things that, and primarily Llambric makes drill chucks, CNC chucks, and live centers for lathes and CNCs. So I do have a lathe, both a rotary unit on my CNC as well as a regular woodworking lathe. So they offered to send me one of these live centers to try it out and see how I like it. So I got one in, and I'm going to kind of let you know what I think here. So out of this Llambric catalog, they have a lot of different items. I'll put the link in the video down in the description section for where to get a hold of Llambric USA and their distributors, as well as they have this full catalog. They have basically two kind of major sizes of live centers. This is the full size one. It takes, it's bigger. It takes heavier loads. In some cases, up to like 4,000 pound side loads here. So some of these are really big. They have dual bearings in them and very high precision. When you look at the run out here is like 1,200 thousandths of an inch. Which is way more precision than I would ever possibly need for woodworking. I think these are really made for metalworking, but what's really cool is they sell, this is the smaller size here, and to me these are a little bit more appropriate for woodworking. And the cool thing is they sell different tip styles for depending on what kind of access you need. So a lot of times when you're wood turning, if you're doing small spindles or small work, you want a kind of a longer, skinnier tip like this so you can get your chisel in there and work on the end. Whereas for me, I do usually, if I'm turning on the lathe, it's bigger bowls and things, so I don't need to get quite so close. So I opted to try out this version here. It's got a little shorter tip, but as you can imagine, the side loads, this highlighted one is the one I actually got. It fits a Morse taper, which is this the size that both my CNC rotary unit and my Powermatic lathe takes. But you can see here, this is a 440 pound load, and they'll basically tell you up here by the models, how long they should last for 2,000 hours at a given RPM and load. So, you can really, I've never seen data published like this on any of the live centers I've had, because frankly I haven't bought very nice ones before. This one's really a lot better quality than anything that I've had. But so you can see, as they get bigger, they take more load, and as the tip is longer, there's more of a moment around that bearing. So they're able to sustain less load when the tip gets longer. So again, that's kind of why I picked the shorter version. I've turned some bowls that started out with a log blank that might be 100 pounds and very out of balance to start with. And so I want a pretty robust live center to be able to hang on to that and not wear the bearings out. So this is the actual unit. You can see the part number here is R200RN. It's kind of long in this section because they actually have two bearings in there, so that gives it a lot better radial load because it's a longer shaft inside of here, inside those bearings, than some of the other ones I have. Say like this old one here, this has just one bearing in it. You can see this is just a cheapie that I've had for a few years, and it's a little worn. That cap shouldn't really come off that easily, and I'm sure I can feel some looseness in it, whereas this one is just super tight. Just the initial look at this, the machining is very nice, super fine finished, and fit and finish is really good, just like that lathe or the drill chuck I had. Fits in my Powermatic very nicely. So I'm going to do a few tests here. The drill chucks have more things to test out. You know, they have to lock on and really grip, and then free up the bit when you're done, things like that. The Live Center doesn't do that much other than hold something. It's, you know, it should hold still and not move around. So I'm going to do my best to cause some side loading with some out of balance loads and compare them to some of the other Live Centers I have, you know, and that's really all the Live Center is supposed to do. So there isn't a whole lot of rigorous tests I can give it, and I'm certainly not going to be able to do any testing to wear it out or something. So, you know, as far as whether it meets the longevity curves that are on the data sheet, I can't really verify that. All right, here's a zoom in from the data sheet. One nice thing is their data sheet or their catalog has some nice blow up cross section views of the different items they make. So in this case, you can see how the bearings and the internals are constructed. And so I mentioned two bearings, but when I say two, that's really two radial bearings. There's a third thrust bearing. So what you can see here is the needle bearings. The one right up here in the head, it's a longer, bigger diameter needle bearing that takes the primary load. And then way down on the end here of the shaft, this whole centerpiece is like a shaft that goes down deep into the body. There's another smaller needle bearing. So those two keep it from rotating and handle the side loads. So it's much more robust than the other ones that I have that just have one or two kind of simple ball bearing sets in the head there, because those are usually up in the head, and they can't really keep it from rotating very well, but this can because it's so long. And then you see the ball bearing right here, so that's kind of in the middle between them. That's right behind the front end needle bearings, and that's just the thrust bearing to handle the force straight back into the unit. So this thing has two sets of needle bearings and a thrust bearing, roller bearing in it, or ball bearing I should say, for the thrust bearing. Which that's a much more robust design. So even if the other ones were machined to much better quality than they are the other types that I have, and you know were better metals and stuff, they still couldn't really compete with this Llambric, because the Llambric just has a much better design with the three sets of bearings in there. So Llambric also has a very good warranty, and they basically certify each one to meet the specifications that are listed on the data sheet. That, you know, for example, in this case, it would be the run out. So they test each one and guarantee that it meets those specifications. And so they have a 1 year totally unlimited warranty. Essentially, if you don't like it, you know, it doesn't meet specs or it's not what you expected, seems to not be working right, they'll replace it with another one for the first year. So I think that's a lot better than anything else that I've had as far as tooling and stuff like that, because obviously tooling can be abused pretty easily. So, you know, the fact that they'll have a warranty for a year of use like that, I think is pretty good. Okay, the first thing to know is I got the dial indicator on here, if I can get my phone to focus, and moving it back in the fourth of the direction of the dial indicator, I can't even get it to move more than about a quarter of a thousandths. So, and that's not backloaded against the thruster bearing or anything. That's just sitting there loose in air. So that's really tight compared to the other ones I have. So this is the next best quality Live Center I have. Came with my CNC rotary unit, and you can see I don't know that the run out, I don't think this is really run out. I think that it's just a lot looser in there. So, you know, you can see that just rolling this, it kind of moves around probably about a half a thousand. So, you know, again, for woodworking, this even is plenty good, but for somebody who really needs something tight for metal machining, this certainly is not as good as the Llambric. And here's the old woodworking one I've had. You can tell just spinning it around, it's just a lot looser. I can feel this one actively moving. So you can see it moves probably 5 thousandths easily with very little effort. And this one is used, but like I said, it never was that great to start with. Okay, here I put a piece of log that's intentionally put on here out of balance, running at about 200, almost 260 RPM. And you can see I've got everything locked down in the tailstock. And so it's running about 10 thousandths of an inch of run out on the end, partially due to the end of it not being perfectly square, although it looks pretty flat, but it has a lot of weight imbalance. So that's my standard woodworking live center. Okay, now we're running the Llambric chuck on there, or sorry, live center. Still right around 258 RPM. I've mounted the log in the same centered hole. You can see the little circle around it that the other live center left. And so you can see this one at the same speed, instead of 10 thousandths, is now going about, I'd say 1.5 thousandths. Sorry, get this thing focused, and you can see there, each one of the major gradients on here is 1 thousandths, and the small one is a half, so it's about 1.5 thousandths. So it's, you know, significantly better. You can't actually see the end wobbling like I could on the other one. So this, I think, it's an excellent little live center. Both this particular one is spec'd for 440 pound side load, very tight precision. So I think for woodworking, again, if you're just turning big bowls and stuff, it almost doesn't matter. But if you're doing something like turning pens, where you really want that mandrel to run true, so that you're not sanding and carving into the mandrels for doing pen making, or if you're doing metalworking, that thing has to really run true. This is a live center for you for sure. Then it's just really well machined and really precision. And like I said, they offer a whole bunch of different options for tips and sizes and Morse taper sizes, depending on what kind of machine you have. So lots of options, very high quality, very high precision. I think I'm really going to like this. One of these days I'm going to have to get something on my CNC and try it out there as well. But this thing is very well built and machined, just like the Llambric keyless chuck that I had, that I've been so happy with. I've actually gotten a lot of feedback from people who've bought that chuck off of my video too, and said they agree. They've really, you know, it's really worked well for them. Hangs on to their bits and lets go of them when you release it easily. So a lot of good feedback from other people, not just me. So it looks like they make these live centers with just as good a quality as their chucks. And so again, if you're really looking for high quality drill chucks, CNC chucks, and tool holders and live centers, go give a look to Llambric. They are manufactured in Spain, and then they're imported into the USA. I'll leave the links down below. The chucks are pretty easy to find. A lot of distributors carry the full line. These live centers are a little harder to find. I think they're just not, you know, quite as popular as drill chucks in an aftermarket sense. So you can contact the distributor directly. I'll leave their contact information and then just in the discussion section below too, so you can check that out. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful to some of you who may be looking for a real precision live center for your lathe or CNC.